What is up, everyone? Welcome to another AOS Trash Pandas. I'm your host, Rob, and with me, as usual, is some guy named Carson. How's it going, Carson?
Going pretty well, Rib. I'm feeling good. I'm just about to fly out to Las Vegas tomorrow.
Okay.
Haven't packed a single thing. Not a thing. Not one iota of things have been packed.
You're flying out when again?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow at what time? Or
well, it's in the evening, so I'm fine.
Okay. You're fine. Yeah.
I'm making mountains out of molehills here, but no, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, quite good. A lot better. That sounds weird. I was going to say a lot better than I thought they would be. As Carson knows, he was kind enough to pick me up. I took my car in, and I was sure they're going to tell me I needed new brakes, I needed new tires or something. And they're like, nope, it's all fine. Which is how you know you can trust them, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that we weren't actually planning to have me pick you up. I was just driving by the normal corner that I peruse. And Rob happened to be there, and I thought he'd be interested. And I'm sorely disappointed, but I did do him a favor, so that's good.
That's true. Yeah, I was just in your like regular hooker and drug spot. Yeah, it's weird that it's tucked away down there, like just off of a main road. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I don't have anything to follow up this joke scenario, so I'm moving on.
Okay, moving right along. Did you see the rumor engine?
I did, and I am seeing it right now.
How's that for a segue?
Ooh,
oh yeah.
I mean, gosh darn. Sorry, YouTube, please. I mean, this could be a lot of things, but I feel like there's going to be someone who's a very big fan of a specific Space Marine chapter out there,
right?
That will tell us that it's that actually. So,
I think it might be Sororitas. Something like Sororitas. It just Adeptus or Sisters of Battle.
No, I know there's a specific unit.
Oh, that I don't know. I was never really like. Remember, I think it was like back in like 2000, like I don't know, 18 or 19 or sometime that they were like, yeah, we're gonna redo Sisters of Battle, and everyone gets to help us figure it out and all this other stuff. And I was just like, cool, man. Like, I'm really like, I know a lot of people were really excited for them, but I was just like, yeah, I just find 40K, you know, I like the weird stuff in 40K. I pretty much just like, I do like Space Marines a little bit, but I mainly just like the Xenos because like that's where all the interesting stuff happens as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I was thinking Seraphims, the ones that have like the flying wing jetpack things, but
that makes sense. That's like a
they don't quite look the same. They're it's a little different.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I don't know, something. That's my guess. Something Sororitas related. I'm sure I won't notice it when it comes out because I don't even notice when they show it from like an army that I really like. I still like almost never notice. Even when it's Skaven, I don't like. Actually, no, I usually notice when it's Skaven or Seraphon usually. But there's probably there's stuff that slipped by me. So, man, I would really just like thinking about it now. I would actually love to like see. There used to be this thing that people showed like all the rumor engines and like what they ended up being. I don't remember what website that was, but like, man, it was so, I would love to like on my own free time, like just look at them and be like, oh, cool. Because we talk about this every week, almost without fail. The only time we don't talk about it is when we don't do the show or there isn't any, a la December. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's such a cool thing that they do, to be honest, like ever since they started doing it. But yeah.
Yeah, it gives us like 10-15 minutes of free content every week. Hell yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's how the sausage is made. Just scrounging for content.
Yeah. Just like scavengers on the...
Yeah. Just filthy little rats. Just in the bins.
Yep.
That's why we're called the Trash Pandas.
Yep. That's why we're so awesome. Because we're rats.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rats.
Rats. You only say that about good stuff. Moving right along.
That's right. When I get a promotion, I say, rats.
Rats. I'm glad they're on the air. What up, Keith? Thanks for joining us. Thanks to everyone who's hanging out. Okay. I mean, I think that we've gotten all we can really. I mean, this is probably a 40K thing. I can't imagine it could be a Stormcast thing, but like, there's just no. I doubt it a lot.
Yeah, I doubt it also.
Yeah. And like, I don't think that the feathers are probably big enough that it's even a Space Marine thing. I think it's probably like Sororitas, just because it just seems a little bit smaller. But it could be something else. I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeah. But
no, I'm with you. I think Sororitas makes sense.
Cool. And then something we didn't talk about ahead of time that they did, in fact, like officially reveal was the new Underworlds warband, which is just, filled to the brim with girlish glee and also like creativity and awesome goblin shenanigans. You've got the guys like dressed up as a squig. There's like two guys like one of those New Year's Chinese dragon style things where they're inside that. You've got the guy with the man catcher, and then there's like a snotling tied to it as like bait. I don't even really understand it, but it's just so filled with character. I love them both. And then you've got, just like a normal kind of goblin and a normal sort of goblin with a bow. I don't really know what those arrows are sticking out of. It looks like an organ of some kind, but I'm not really sure. And then you've got this awesome troll. Now, I don't fully understand. So Dale was talking about how he thought that the troll was like also like some goblins that are dressed up like it. And I look at inside the mouth here, there are a pair of eyes, right? So I don't understand what this is, but they don't allude to that if you read the thing up above. It's just a smaller Troggoth who dreams of bigger things, as well as Rig and Sham, who lead Uglug around by pretending to be his pet squig, which is really hilarious. But like, what are these eyes inside here? Like, I need some lore.
Are those? Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but are those not his eyes?
But isn't it inside his mouth?
I see it as like he has a huge brow line that leads into being his nose, and he just has a tiny face. That's kind of how I read it.
Oh, maybe it's because they painted it like a different color, like a properly different color. Okay, one second. I have to like.
Yeah, because you can't see where. I know where you're interpreting his eyes are.
Yeah.
I don't see actual eyes there though. Like I don't.
Oh, or that's. Those aren't eyes?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Huh. I see what you're saying now. I mean, it could just be like a goblin staring out of inside of a mouth. But like, it's definitely a different color. Okay, so not the wolf, Keith. I mean, like, if you look inside the mouth of the troll, what has to be the mouth, because there's like teeth and stuff sticking out, like it kind of comes down like this, and then on either side of the open mouth there are eyes. I don't know. I don't get it, but it's a cool sculpt either way. That probably ate up a little too much time, but just talking about this. But I don't know. They have a lot of flavor. I think it's cool. The question is, are they going to get AOS rules? Because to my knowledge, and I could be wrong about this, I know we talked about it briefly right after the last live game, but obviously Skaven and Stormcast both got Underworlds warbands in their book. They were the old ones, though. Did Slaves to Darkness get one? Right? And
I don't believe so. No.
And Orcs are not getting one either. So, like, was that just the first two books?
It might have been, because the thing is, like, Stormcast is a really small range, so they needed to add another War Scroll.
That's
to
true.
Pad it out, right?
Skaven too, so you might be onto something.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
now
IDK,
like Slaves to Darkness.
That's true.
Too deep, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like they've ever cut any of the War Scrolls from Slaves to Darkness before, so
no.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like, what about Like, what about like IDK or something, which has like a lot of war scrolls, like,
I think that needs to be cut. Probably take out the turtle as well.
Take out the turtle, right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, too much variety is a bad thing.
Yeah, the nice thing is they can just take the stuff out of IDK and put it into Lumineth and just call it like river dudes or whatever.
That's true. That's actually a great point. Like everything except for the thralls and reavers, right?
Yeah, those are the best parts that everyone likes the most about IDK.
Right.
For sure.
Keith says first 2 books were probably off at the printers before that decision was made. Your guess. That's not a bad guess. I don't mind that. I like for the thing about Skaven, the thing that I thought of was for they were in the boardroom. I picture them in the boardroom, right? Like that. And then they were like, we should get rid of the Skaven priest on foot. And someone was like, why? And they're like, I don't know. I just never liked the cut of his jib. Let's get him out of there. Because you can't have like the same model on foot that you might see in the bell. But sir, you get an extra guy on foot if you build the Screaming Bell, which is actually the more popular option and more popular model since the beginning of time. Yeah, I know, but we should just get rid of it, right? Okay, well then, but if we're going to get rid of the guy on foot, we need to replace it with something, right? And I actually agree with that point. And so they're like, okay, Plague Pack, bring it over from Underworlds. We'll have to pay them $50 million, but it'll be worth it because those sculpts are so baller, right? But what about Skittershank's Eshin warband? Yeah, well, we've got the Night Runners, so we don't need them. Oh, okay, right. So like all that makes sense so far, right? But I don't know what to tell you about Stormcast. Yeah, I have no scenarios for them because I don't understand anything about that army.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're missing.
Yeah, they're like, what if we had a 2-cast foot Stormcast wizard? How about that? And to be honest, I don't know enough about Stormcast to know if that already exists in another unit or not. I don't think it does, but
probably not. Right?
Someone could show up to a tournament.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, this is my Lord Executionum.
Executionum.
He has 3 casts and he moves 16 inches, and I'll be like, I guess that's what he does.
Yeah.
I guess
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But you have... But you get all of the things.
In the app, I just assumed that I was misspelling his name.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How do you spell his name? And then they could just be like, I think it's like UM, like UM, right? And then you don't want to appear stupid. You're just like, oh, UM. Yeah. That makes sense. I was thinking OM, but yeah. Like I still can't
look at
find
my phone and it's like the calendar app. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it.
There he is.
See it here.
3 casts it is.
Yeah.
Only 120 points, you say? Whoa. Yeah, it seems a little low, but I'll take your. I mean, I'll look at the app and I'll see that that's true because I know how to read. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah. Actually, so Keith, maybe you're referring to the Eshin. I think legitimately bitter about the Eshin not getting new Night Runners, but we ended up with something way better than like a plague, because like if we had a plague priest on foot, he would have to lead, because like that's what they've done. If you're a priest or you're a caster, you have to lead a regiment, right? But the Plague Pack doesn't have to. It has more wounds. The only thing it can't do is be a sub commander, but it couldn't do that anyway because they're not giving it to priests or wizards. So like for that, I think we kind of lucked out. I think we dodged a bullet there. And the sculpts are way cooler. Like, it's just kind of a great deal overall. But having said all that, Eshin, I am bitter. Alex is saying that like sarcastically, but like I'm not really a bitter person, I don't think. Jeez. You're making me self-conscious here, Alex. Mortarch of Hype is also the Mortarch of Bitterness, I guess. I don't know. When it comes to Skaven, my standards are impossibly high.
But also extremely easy to please with any sort of interaction on like coming up with new Skaven things.
That's so true.
Like, I feel like the amount of times I've heard you say this is the best model they've ever made. for a Skaven model is like, yeah.
So I was like legitimately arguing that Croak was at one point, but then once Visit came out, and like I am a little bit like I honestly think that Visit is the best model they came out with last year, but I can understand, and Usharan was my second favorite, so I'm not even like upset about that. I think that like Usharan just covers more people. You know what I mean? Like that hunched over Ghoul King, and like that pose, that model, everything about it is basically perfect. Like for what they had envisioned, it's perfect. So I'm not even upset about that. You know? But yeah, no, like they're perfect. Like honestly, like almost everything about the Skaven release was perfect. Just the Night Runners. And like if I could have gotten it, I would have definitely asked for like another unit of something Eshin. I don't even care what. And yeah, is that it? I think that might be it. Like honestly, actually, here's one thing. If I'm trying to find something to complain about, it's that they released like they gave us so many Scryer things, and I feel like we don't need all of them. Does that make sense? Like rather than have like the rattling warp blaster thing, I feel like instead of that we could have had like some kind of molder, like a what do you call it? A master molder on brood horror or something like that, giant wolf rat or whatever, or something else. You know what I mean? I think they could have been a little bit more creative and leaned into molder a little bit more. But the brood terror is freaking sick. I said from the beginning, like we're gonna have crappy rules, and we didn't have like nearly as crappier rules as I thought we were going to. And the sculpts last forever, so I don't know. I'm kind of in paradise, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely. Lord Arcababulum. Yeah, I totally know that one.
It's actually my favorite.
It's super cool.
I really like how he interacts with the Executionum.
Executionum is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they really like. It's like a tech sandwich. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. And synergy. By the way, exactly. Thank you, my friend. And by the way, I didn't say that the Skaven balance is fine. I just said it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, which means it's better than KB, last edition, and Night Haunt in second edition, which doesn't, I mean, yeah, anyway.
The time will tell, I think, whether like the original or the first books are going to be bad in comparison to the next ones, right? Because it could be that powered creep just goes like, just like shoots through the roof as all the books come out. Like the Slaves of Darkness is incredible. It's
insane. Yeah, they're awesome. But Auric War Clans, maybe not as good as Slaves to Darkness. Maybe I'm not saying one way or the other.
I say maybe not, but I think that a lot of people have the sentiment of like it was either a side grade or downgrade,
right,
with the Slaves to Darkness book, and it turns out that it was just way better to decide to have a 3d6 charge essentially,
right.
And I think depending on how points shake out, similar things could happen with the Orc War Clans as well. Like there could be something there.
There could be, honestly, like everyone's complaining about it, but I think it's way better to be Skaven or Auric War Clans in the long run than Slaves to Darkness, because everyone's going to complain about Slaves to Darkness. They are going to get nerfed. And then the question is, does that satisfy the mob, or do they keep calling for blood? Because usually they keep calling for blood, a la Gloomspite Gitz last edition, and then they just keep getting nerfed. You know what I mean? And that feels so much worse than being the underdog that everyone's just like, oh, good for you for bringing Skaven or whatever it is. And then you just slowly get buffed up to where you're in a good spot and people don't really complain as much, you know? Now, it can happen the other way. Like, remember IDK, like they buffed Sharks, and then I think everyone was complaining. And honestly, I played against them and I played with them, and I didn't think it was a big deal either way. But, you know.
Yeah, the amount of like goodwill that I built playing ogres for an entire year, I think is like somewhat offsetting how evil I am for playing Slaves to
Your
Darkness.
villain arc. Yeah. Well, and like I will, I know this is going to be kind of out of character for me, but I will defend Carson. He has owned that army. He owned and painted Slaves to Darkness as his secondary army since before he was even competing as ogres.
My first ever tournament was
your tournament. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It was a 1K, I think, right?
Yeah. Where I decided to bring 10 chosen.
I mean, like, but you have a cool like narrative and like scheme idea. You know what I mean? So that's why it makes sense to me. But you definitely are in your full villain arc. You just need a little bit more wax for your mustache, I think, to really, and maybe like a top hat.
I realized how in my villain arc I am because I was playing a practice game against someone today, and he rolled an 11 to cast something. And he really needed to go off, and I was just like, all right. And I just box carded it. And instead of doing my usual, ooh, I'm sorry, I just said, fuck you. Like, just full on leaned into it. Just.
Oh my God. Who did you play?
It was Fabian. He's a very good player from the States, but him and I play a lot.
That is awesome.
There's no remorse, just
you can only do that with your real friends. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I remember I met my my brother's girlfriend, like not his wife, but like his girlfriend a long time ago. And then when I started taking the piss out of her properly, was like, I think at first she was like, what is your deal today? And I was just like, well, that means you're in, you know what I mean? You're one of us now. Anyway, I don't know if that made any sense, but the people never stop complaining, Rob. Trust me, I play LRL for 2 editions. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's a shame. It's almost as if basing rule changes on complaints from players is a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, but it affects their sales if they don't. I don't know what other choice. Like, I don't think. Actually, I think that they do, right? It must be based on complaining, like a certain amount of it. Right?
I think so. I think it's like they have their data for sure.
Yeah.
Right? They have their data for a big thing that they pay attention to is like inclusion rates and internal balance.
And that's fair.
And they seem to have ignored that with Slaves to Darkness, but that's fine.
That's true.
Basically, I think that
they sometimes look at inclusion rates.
Yeah, it's factored in somehow,
Somehow, yeah.
But I think that I could see them making a decision if the general consensus from the community is like, this thing isn't necessarily really good, right, but I hate it, right? That stuff tends to get fixed, I think. Like, what obviously squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing.
And what do you mean though? Like what? Like, can you name an example?
An example would be like, I mean, this was really good, and remember Huracan, how you had like the jump shoot jump with all of the boxes and stuff like that, essentially. That was like fundamentally bad for the game, I think. Yep. Where it's like so non-interactive that and there's you can play into it and there's ways around it with certain armies and stuff like that, but it was such like a monumental feel bad for 90% of the games that I think it kind of had to be taken out, or at least hit with a nerf bad as much as it was,
or just changed in some way to get rid of that. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that one was so over the top, monumental, etc., that they didn't have a choice. But I do think that there are a lot of feel bads that are strong enough that they warrant a change that they still don't change. So I would love to be a fly on the wall when they do make these kinds of decisions. But yeah, like, I'm not sure. Skaven are a really strong army. Good book. Yeah, I mean, I think they've got really good play now. Yeah, I mean, I think they're good. I don't know if I'd go really strong, but complaining plus auto include spam equals balance method. That's probably it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Ledivicus there. Yeah. Skaven's main issue is internal balance. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Be'lakor, feel bad. Carson is bad for the metas. So, like, Be'lakor is one of the things I was thinking about. You know, just his mechanic. Like, and he's had that since the beginning. And then you looked over at 40K in, when did he come out? It must have been 9th edition 40K? He came out during. We got Be'lakor at the end of 2nd edition. And 40K comes first. So 9th edition, yeah. 9th edition, he was out in. And his rules were sick. They were super sick. Like he's super hard to kill. He just runs around like a chainsaw. And I don't know, it's super fun and like super Timmy. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't really care. Like, I don't bring Archaon. I don't bring Nagash. I don't like to do those things. So, like, I'm not really even affected by Be'lakor, but I can see why it's just like, no. You know what I mean? There's no interaction here. It's not a spell. It's just no. That unit, no. You know what I mean? And you're just like, okay, you know? But
I feel a similar way about Be'lakor as I do kind of about the double turn, where it's just like, if you learn how to play into Be'lakor, i.e. like forcing a Be'lakor at an inopportune time, essentially, is what you want to be doing. Or if you take something like, what's it called? Thank you, Keith, by the way, for the gift sub.
Thank you very much.
Congrats, Mark.
Very nice.
If you take something like, a really good example is Skaven, actually, where it's like, those 6 rattling guns, I really don't want them to shoot me this turn. However, they are within range of a gnaw hole. And as the gnaw hole using the ability to teleport them into the proper position, therefore I have 1/3 up I have to make to try and prevent them from shooting. So that once per game ability all of a sudden hinges entirely on me rolling 1/3 up, which means 1/3 of the time you're still going to get to shoot me anyway, and that ability is 100% useless.
Yep.
And there's plenty of situations where that kind of becomes the case.
I thought you were going to say that because Skaven has, like, you probably have 2 units of 6 rattling guns, you can only turn one of them off anyway. So it's just
threat saturation is a big thing too, where it's like, if you have 5 hammers and I can Be'lakor 1, it's like, cool, I guess. Like, you probably weren't going to send all of them into me anyway, because that's, you might be trading poorly in that case. So I'm just kind of picking the lesser of 2 evils.
Well, and like I said, like, I don't play with one giant god unit or one giant hammer anyway. It's not my style. So it doesn't really affect me personally. Like, I've never had a personal problem with Be'lakor. I think a lot of people misinterpret when I say that. I don't really care. And the model is like, I could see from like an outside perspective as it being the best model they've ever made. And I'm always a huge fan of when they make good rules for awesome looking models. But I can, what I'm saying is I can see how other people really hate Be'lakor. And
I think,
and I'm not sure he's good for the game as a whole. As a competitive game, it's a totally different matter.
Yeah. I think where they went too far with Be'lakor was his strikes first ability. I don't know why they decided to give that to him in 4th edition. Because I'm like,
man, I wish he had that. I'm glad he has that. But you can't have that and the turn off a unit once per game, right? Like, I feel like you got to choose one of those two, right?
I think if he didn't have the turn off once per game, that would need to be significantly stronger, or he wouldn't be nearly worth it for the points.
No, totally. Yeah. Like in 40K 9th edition, as I remember it, I think he was -1 to hit and -1 to wound all the time against everything. And I think his attacks go through invulnerable saves. I could be wrong, but you could have him go through you could have him like minus, what's it called? Like, have him -3 rend or something like that, and you can't like have ethereal saves or whatever keyword you want to put on that. Like, you give him all that cool stuff, or you can't take ward saves against him or something like that, right? Like, oh man, like then he becomes this awesome Timmy unit that I would have to buy a Slaves to Darkness army just to go with my Be'lakor. Like, that's how cool I think that would be. But no, I totally agree. And that's what I was saying. You can't give him, but like if you have always strikes first, I don't think you can have the once per game ability. And you're saying the opposite. Yeah. But
yeah, both doesn't make sense. I don't understand why they decided to do that, but
right.
Happy to have it for now.
I'm sure you are.
I'll use it.
Yeah.
But
super cool unit.
yeah.
I mean, like, what are other examples of like truly feels bad? Like, I'm not trying to pick on your army.
No, I mean it makes sense. Truly feels bad right now. Tzeentch feels like someone's sitting on your head and pelting you with rocks a little bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Tzeentch
so
water torture.
Yeah, exactly. I think what feels bad about that is like blue horrors is probably my least favorite, or like probably my least favorite mechanic in the game right now.
What's the deal with blue horrors again?
So the thing with blue horrors is the problem is that technically the legal way to resolve a blue horror dying takes a really long time. Because what happens is every time a blue horror dies, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to roll your ward save to see if you actually allocate the damage. You allocate the damage, therefore a blue horror dies. Then on a 3+, that blue horror does die, but is replaced somewhere else in the unit with a brimstone horror. But the problem that happens is normally you just play, okay, cool, I'm just going to roll a bunch of dice and do all these at once kind of thing. The problem is that the way that coherency works now is you have to set models up one at a time in coherency with the rest of the unit and not in coherency with any models that were brought this turn, returned this turn, which means you have to keep track of all of the models that were not returned already, stay in coherency with them, and then one at a time be like, okay, 3 up, okay, brimstone comes back, okay, remove it, do this thing, and it just takes so much time.
So you're forced to slow roll.
You're forced to slow roll, but the problem is that if you don't, it's actually very beneficial for the Tzeentch player because they're not having to like actually properly put things in coherency, right?
Right.
It just becomes like it's like either you slow roll and do it correctly and they resolve everything equally, and as an opponent you have to know exactly how it works, otherwise they could be accidentally cheating you.
Right.
But if they don't slow roll, it's very preferential for the Tzeentch player because they have all of the information about what will die and what will come back so that they can allocate or they can put stuff in coherency exactly perfectly, right? Knowing all of the future information, which is not good. So that's why I hate it. It's just because it's like, it's so stupid. Like it wastes so much time. And it's just like annoying to have to keep on to like be on your opponent about it kind of thing.
And like what's interesting is I haven't heard anyone else complain about it. Like I know we talked about it previously, maybe even on the podcast before, but like it feels like it's not really in the zeitgeist of the community at large to me. Am I wrong? Or is it like only in like the more hyper competitive side of things?
It's because not a lot of people play Tzeentch, and the people that do play Tzeentch are going to be like really heavy hitting players like Matt Beasley or Caleb Walters or Fabian, these people that really know what they're doing. And there's a couple people that I'll just trust to get that stuff, and I'll just like, you do it however you want to do it. I trust that you're going to resolve it correctly. But if I'm playing against someone completely random, like they could be like really preferentially doing it in a way that is actually not legal, which is annoying.
And what does it get you? If you don't
it gets you information. So imagine like, so you don't know in total how many brimstone horrors you're going to get back at the start of allocating all of these wounds, right? So you don't know exactly what the right way to bring these models back.
Oh, is, right. They come back.
Yeah, it has to happen one at a time. And so the issue is that
how and when do they come back?
Every time a blue dies,
on
a 3-up, a brimstone horror pops up in the unit.
Oh, I see. It doesn't automatically happen now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Which means you don't know whether or not it's going to happen for how many.
Withdrawn, Your Honor. I see. Yeah. I just didn't know the rule that they had now. Oh, that's so dumb.
Yeah, it's.
How could they do it elsewise though? Like I've got a feeling that not enough people are complaining about this that it's even going to get changed.
Yeah, I think the only way to make this sounds very thematic somehow. Yeah, Tzeentch just wasting everyone's time.
That's
essentially.
True. Yeah.
I think that the way that you would fix it is fundamentally it has to be a nerf, and then you just make the unit cheaper, right?
What
I think it would be
what do
like,
you do?
I think it would be like, remember how Necrons worked in like 8th or 9th or something, where
Right.
after a whole attack happened,
Yeah,
however many
you
models
roll a
died, you roll that many, and then you bring them back afterwards,
Right.
instead of it
Right.
doing it during the attack sequence. And then if you just wipe the whole unit, they can't do it,
Yeah,
right? So
that's solid. Yeah,
I think that's a nerf for sure.
for
but
sure. But then you make the points cheaper, and then
make them cheaper, and then,
and
you're
then
good.
everyone's probably happier. Like probably even
Yeah.
the siege players, because like I can't imagine that would be fun. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's way easier to keep track of like, okay, these are the models that died after you attacked
Right.
me. I will
Right.
roll this many dice. That's how many brims come back, and then you can resolve your coherency, no problem.
I like that as well. Alex said Gordrak feels truly feels bad. That's only for the orc players, so no one cares. Is that is what we landed on, I think. No, I'm just kidding. I actually want Gordrak. Gordrak should feel awesome. So should Gobsprak, by the way, and neither one feels awesome. I know Gobsprak is like useful. He's like this utility piece, and sometimes he's, you know what I mean? He was really good last season when we had the primal dice and everything like that. But I don't know, like they're like the Primarch of their faction, so they should both feel amazing to play. And I don't care if it costs more points. Like the points schmoints. Just make cool rules for them. So I ended up agreeing with you, Alex, and it's to my great shame. Rooks in chess are OP. I lost to a rook yesterday. They should fix it. That is a little different. Both players have rooks, but they are worth more points if you go by the point system. That's why they're worth 5 points as opposed to the bishop or the knight's 3 points. God Summoner / Chosen. Let's pile on STD. I guess you're referring to the new system of the Slanesh, right?
Yeah.
Is that
I
a
have a
feels
hot
bad
take.
or okay?
That is a bad list. I think it'll 4-1. It's gonna like absolutely dumpster 3 or 4 opponents at a
It's
tournament.
basically a skew list. Is that what you're saying?
It is 100%.
Right.
It's like, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you screens?
Yeah.
Question mark. Like that's.
Yeah.
Do you not play with screens?
Yeah.
And if you have more than one, you just layer them. Bada bing, bada boom. You don't have, and it's that whole army is like 4 or 5 units, which most Slaves to Darkness armies are. But it's like, it doesn't have Bellacore to shut down the counter punch at all.
Right.
So, I don't think it's great.
That's interesting. I don't. Yeah, I mean I only know like the main armies that I play now, so I don't. You know what I mean? Like I'm mainly playing Skaven lately, and yeah, I would love it if you played that because I always have screens. I've always had screens. I've always played in this really aggressive meta. So yeah, like I think I played against Matthias on Saturday. Had a great game with him. And you know, we kind of like talked everything out. So like I wasn't playing bad. You know what I mean? Because like he was right there with me and everything. But I lost, you know, because it's a dice game. Lost quite badly. I think my list isn't as good as his, but he was trying out something new. He brought 12 Rat Ogres, which I didn't see him doing. I don't think that's what he's going to play at LVO. I knew that. I just wasn't sure how much of it was a secret. I know exactly what he's bringing, and he may have borrowed models from me to run it. But yeah, so anyway, I've made some iterations of my list, and I think it's going to be better going forward. But yeah, everything, the sun set on Matthias that day, except for his redeploys. I rolled a 6 twice in a row. I only did 2 redeploys, and I rolled a 6 twice. And I think he rolled 1 either twice or once. So that was kind of funny. But other than that, everything, it really went his way. But I had a great time. Like I always have fun playing Matthias. So yeah. But so Keith brought up what I was actually going to bring up as my second, like my second feels bad thing is Teclis not rolling to cast still feel bad. I haven't seen him this edition. I like, so it depends on the person, I think, but like you could argue that like not rolling dice in a dice game is something he pays for in points. That might be true, but it still feels bad because it's like if you just get a 10, then you never miscast. And I don't know, like it sticks in my craw. It's like one of the things that does bother me, and I hardly ever play against him, you know? And I want him to be good. Like, I'm not saying anything like that, right? But
yeah, I think the reason why you don't see Teclis is because there's too much good quality 18-inch shooting in the game right now, and he's a 5-up save. So
does he still have the 5-up ward?
Yep. I mean, sure, yeah, but long strikes.
I'm just asking. Like, that wasn't like that wasn't me being passive aggressive. I just
I didn't take it that way at all.
Okay.
I just think, even then, like he's like 16 wins or something on a 5-up.
Right.
5-up. So it's like
because sorry.
Yeah. No, he doesn't last long. Like you have to play him extremely defensively against like Stormcast, maybe Slanesh, and then catapults for OBR if they have them. Like there's a lot of different armies that'll have long range shooting that just messes with you. Or even the mirror match. If you have like a block of sentinels that can be shooting 24 inches and just reaching over the castle and killing him in 2 turns, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, once again, like, I just want to underline this, right? Because I think I'm getting misunderstood again. I don't care. I'm not arguing about balance at all. Like, if you took those stupid kangaroo guys, the Huracan kangaroo boys, and you made them 500 points for 2, because they come in units of 2, right? Yeah. So, like, let's say you made them 500 points for units of 2.
Oh, sorry. You're talking like
the guys that jump shoot 5. The jump. Oh, are they units of 5? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
the
how often I play
foxes are like heroes. They're one guy, and then the kangaroos are units of 5. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't remember. I hardly ever like. I think I've played against them once. That's not my point. Is though, let's say you made them 500 units for 5, 500 points for 5, right? What are they now? Like 200, 220 or something like that, right? Or whatever they were. Let's just okay, fine. Actually, let's screw that. We're gonna make them 600 points for 5, right? There's no way they were anything remotely close to that. They were probably less than half. Let's say you make them 600 points and they still have the jump, shoot, jump. No one's ever taking them in any kind of competitive list ever. It's not happening, right? We can all agree on that. Okay. What they do is still annoying. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a negative play experience that has nothing to do with balance, right? And so that's what you know, and like maybe Teclis, like there might be, and I'll just admit this, you know, I don't think it's true, but like I'll admit that there's a possibility that playing, like there's a part of me that's just jealous that you get to not roll dice for your caster with Teclis. Like there's a part of me that's possible. I don't think it is. I don't really care. Like I think you're kind of missing some of the fun when you don't roll dice, personally, because it's a dice game and like rolling dice is super fun. Like I honestly just personally enjoy just picking up dice and rolling them and seeing what I get. Like, whatever. Anyway, but for Teclis, I honestly just think that like that mechanic is just not fun to deal with. You know what I mean? I don't care if he's competitive or not. I just don't think it's a fun mechanic. And I think that for Be'lakor too. And I think there are other examples of that, but I'm not sure. You know what? Actually, from last edition, Gotrek. They pointed him eventually, and they made it so you couldn't teleport him. You could never give him run and charge or anything else like that. So he was a bad choice, but playing against him was still just not fun. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, reducing all potential damage to 1 is pretty gross.
Exactly.
With a 3-up board on top of it was just like, well,
right?
Cool.
And like, Night Haunt is not an example of this, because Night Haunt, their rules didn't fundamentally changed like hardly at all. And they were terrible last edition, right? Very similar rules. They bring them over to 4th edition, and now because of the game fundamentally changing, now they're OP, and now everyone's complaining about the that mechanic, right? But
yeah, I think like delivery methods is what's different right now as well. Like they have a good 7-inch teleport with Aurak the Drowner. They have a run in charge with 1 unit, which is usually all you really need. So
right.
They have like a really strong ability to whip across the table and pin you with just like wounds on an ethereal 4-up, which is pretty nice. Also, the Sloth Bear says, Carson, how would you play BCR if you wanted to be some form of competitive? I would probably do a list that had like, I think you would probably stop caring about drops a little bit. And I think that you would try to fit in at least 5 stone horns, a Slaughtermaster in a maw pit, and then you want to make sure that you have screens like Noblars. So yeah, it would probably, I think the list would be like 20 or 40 Noblars, a Slaughtermaster, 5 or 6 monster trucks, and then that's the list. And then all you're doing is you're trading essentially, like layering your screens and then pushing up the table. And you just hope you don't go into any good shooting because those stone horns will die. But yeah, and just crap out mortal wounds at people.
Right. Thanks for joining us, Beefy. Enjoy it when you get home. You also said in a dice game, those with +1 to charge can't fail. He means on a 3-inch charge, obviously. Double ones should always fail a charge. That's interesting. What do you think about that? Should double ones always fail?
No. I mean, they should fail most of the time, by and large, I think. And they do.
Right.
Like, it's right. +1 to charge is actually quite rare now. 3d6 charge is less rare, but it's still quite rare.
Right.
And I think it's reasonable to have like very, very specific exceptions of like, if I'm like right up on you and you didn't redeploy and you're like, or you're pinned or something like that, in this very specific instance, I can't fail this charge. I think that's pretty reasonable to say. Because I couldn't imagine a worse feel bad than if your opponent did like everything wrong and just like put all the stuff in your face for you to do perfect charges and you just so happen to roll double ones every single time. It's like that's less fun than someone succeeding a 3-inch charge despite rolling double ones, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree because like I remember playing 40K. In 40K, you have to stay outside of 1 inch. So you can't fail in that game either. And it just feels kind of crazy. So it's like, okay, your giant monster runs up, you know, to outside of like we'll take 40K as the first example. He runs outside of 1 inch, and then but you roll double ones, so you automatically fail, and it just like almost doesn't make sense in a way. You know what I mean? The 3-inch sort of boundary that we have in this is, you know, is just sort of creating some kind of, it's more of an in-game mechanic, you know, to add to like the depth of the game than it is to like add some kind of verisimilitude to the game. So in fact, I think that would take away from it because it's just like, if you run right up next to them, how do you fail that charge? Like what happens there? Yeah. So I think I agree with that. And I agree about the point about the ultimate feels bad where it's just like, okay, you know?
Yeah. Like I also understand, let's say you move your maximum movement and it ends up just so happens to be exactly 3 inches out. You fail that charge like thematically. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Like you're at the very extent of how far you could go. But I'm talking about the situations where it's like you have an enemy unit that starts like 1 inch away from you. And then in combat, you just move your 1 inch and then you just roll double ones. And it's like, how could they not? They could literally have walked into combat.
Right.
If they wanted to, right?
Yeah.
How do they fail?
Yeah. How do they fail? Like they couldn't, and like I get like clan rats. Oh, well, they couldn't muster up the courage. Like there's some kind of psychological effect there, but like not some giant bloodthirster going into a unit of clan rats. So, or if you look at like Total War, can you imagine if there was like some kind of luck component to whether your units could actually charge into combat, which they should be able to do, even though they started at a certain range. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Damn, my local meta is just heavy shooting right now. Yeah. That's unfortunate. But like, wait, by the way, you are the person who asked about BCR. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just nothing to do with it. Yeah, I feel like it kind of depends on where you are. What is our local meta right now? Like, I don't even know. I haven't been playing enough games, I've been playing a lot of Skaven mirrors lately because of just who I've been playing, but
what there tends to be is like a lot of Sylvaneth, and I don't know, it's pretty spread out. Like,
yeah, I feel
we
like
have a
it
fairly
is,
diverse meta,
right?
I would say.
I think it just tends to be aggressive here.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty aggressive here, for sure. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And then you see, like, I think Matthias and Beasley kind of like keep that at bay a bit by playing fairly techie armies.
Right.
They can play into that pretty well, but yeah. I'm sorry, Sloth Bear. I am of zero help when it comes to the meat dimension, but you came to the right place in Carson. He was trying to make them work for LVO, but he decided to stick with his villain arc, and yeah, I was coming to the realization that it was just like I could just play a patently far worse army and probably get angry.
Yeah, that's true.
This entire weekend was just like, why would I fly to Las Vegas just to get angry when I could go turn off my brain, play Slaves to Darkness, and just do as well as I can do, right?
Yep, that's true. Okay, I've got a question for you. The Ogres get a rework, right? And obviously a new book. But they get the Iron Jaws treatment or whatever. They get the Auric War Clans treatment and not the Slaves to Darkness treatment. Do you play with your shiny new models, or do you just stick it out with Ogres? Or no, with Slaves to Darkness.
Sorry, can you run over that situation?
So Ogres come out, they get a refresh, they get all these shiny new models, but when the book comes out, it's not nearly as strong. It's more of like Auric War Clans kind of feel to the strength of it. What are you going to play? Are you going to play with your shiny new awesome models that suck in the game, or are not very good in the game, not as good in the game, however you want to say that? Or are you going to, stick with what's good?
I'll give him a shot for sure. Like I'll take him to probably at least one event, and then
no matter
see how
what.
they do and see how they feel. Because like when I was playing Ogres last edition, they weren't top of the meta by any means.
No, they weren't.
But they were serviceable, right?
Yep.
And the way that
they were like
played,
46%, and then like later on when you started playing it, the longer you were playing it, they did seem to go up. I think they got to like 51% eventually, but
I don't think they ever got over 50. They were always like,
oh really?
I remember they bottomed out at like 44 or something, but they were always kind of like mid 40s ish.
Yeah, I think that sounds right to me.
Yeah, and if they return to playing like that and being like not quite the best, but still a way that I really like to play, I would 100% play them, right?
Nice.
The issue that I have with Ogres right now is that it feels like you're being punished for doing things that the army wants to do a lot of the time.
Can you be more specific?
Yeah, of course. It's a great question. Thanks. Thank you. I think one issue is that list building wise, there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, if I put this and this together, if I put some of these in the list, then like Bloodpelt Hunter is a good example where it's like, oh, I could do some like movement tech shenanigans where I'm moving in my opponent's movement phase with him. But in order to bring him, you need a tyrant who is like a crazy points tax that does literally nothing except unlock a Bloodpelt Hunter. So it's like I need to take a crap unit to get access to like kind of a neat techie unit. It's not something you just get in addition.
Right.
And then also Ogres really they're really an army where it's just like I have a lot of attacks at usually low rend and high damage, right? So 6 Gluttons can be pumping out 25 attacks, rend 1 damage too. If those Gluttons can get into combat and they can manage to fight and they don't have any minuses to hit and the opponent doesn't have save stacking, it's great. But there's so many points of failure there and they're so paper thin that they can just die to incidental damage. So it's like a screen attack, like Clan Rats might kill an Ogre or two. And I'm like, cool, now my damage is like 1/3 less, right? Just because clan rats decided to cough in their general direction, which really sucks.
Right.
And then you kind of have to anchor yourself to a butcher the entire time, but you also need them near the faction terrain to like make it work. You need someone in the maw pit, or you need someone next to the maw pot in order to actually make use of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like relatively big parts of the army. And it's like, why am I having to fight against, like, keeping this guy way up with my ogres and also near the faction terrain? Like, it just feels like it's not great. And then there's the once per game feast on flesh ability, which is like, you forgo your +2 to run for the rest of the game if you use it, and it only goes off on a 2-up on a D3. And I'm like, there's so many times where I'm like, I would love to do mortals to this thing that I'm in combat with, but it might not even happen. And I might just give up my +2 to run because I just so happen to roll a 1 on a D3, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy sort of thing. Like, it's once per game. It feels like the Warp Seer's ability when he could throw his orb and get rid of like the thing that made him the reason why you took him, just to like do like D6 mortal wounds at like a crappy distance.
Yep.
And
that happens on an actual 2-up. This is on a D3 2-up.
No, I know, but like back in the day, I don't think you even rolled a 2-up for that. But the whole reason that you took him was for that ability. I have never once thrown his orb. I have never, ever done it. And I'm sure people have, and I'm sure it's gone off with a success. What I'm saying though is it's just like you're just almost never going to choose that ability. And for a once per game ability, I don't think that they needed to do that. What I'm saying is they should have made that a once per game ability, but you don't lose your +2. That's what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah.
But,
yep. That's or even it's a once per game ability, but it's guaranteed. Right. You just
exactly.
heal D3 mortals and you heal 1.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I would take that as a concession to just deal guaranteed damage to something. That's fair. But I think that as is, Ogre's just like isn't as tough, doesn't hit as hard, and actually doesn't have the same delivery methods as a lot of armies out there. Right. And it's just like something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not enough wound density. We at the beginning of the edition, everyone was just like, "Oh, you can spam gluttons, and you can have so much wound density that it's not even going to matter." But it turns out, no. There's a lot of armies out there that just crap out damage. Like Slaves to Darkness being one of them will, like, you can easily kill 12 gluttons with 6 Baron Guard.
Right.
Easily. And those gluttons might not do anything back to them. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And it's easier to get them into combat. They can take a hit better. And there's tools in the army that allow you to mitigate that damage, like Be'lakor or Fight's Last Spell or -1 to hit from Be'lakor's spell and stuff like that. Like, it's just, there's just not enough in Ogres, I think. And you're kind of being punished for doing what Ogres want to do, which is just like full send at someone. Like, because you'll gas out so fast and die on a 5-up save. It's,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. And like you do have that history of not taking, or sorry, of playing Ogres when they, were considered not very good, and doing very well with them. So, like, obviously there's a lot of credit to, when you're talking about them now, yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame when anyone doesn't get to play the thing that they really like. Like, I know Alex, for example, was trying to make Ironjawz work, against all kind of odds before. And, and like, he clearly wanted to play them super bad and couldn't, like, the other thing too, is it's like, okay, it depends on what you're kind of doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to take something to tournament is very different than just playing a game. Like, you would be just, I'm sure, I haven't asked you this, but I'm sure, Carson, you would be perfectly happy to play Ogres in a battle report or against someone, locally, right? But it's like, okay, if I'm spending all this money, even if it's not a lot of money, even if it's a local tournament, like out in Richmond or something like that, you're still just going to be like, okay, well, I paid my entry fee. I want to have a shot at winning this thing, So I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about determining like what you want as a player. Right. Whenever you go to a tournament, if truly you are okay with losing a bunch of games and and just like playing with models the entire weekend, that's totally fine and valid, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
you're going for a different reason. You're going for the painting contest, or you want to have a shot at best overall or something like that. But something I've accepted about myself is that I enjoy being as competitive as I can be, while still being like a nice person to play against, hopefully. But I enjoy being competitive, and I think there's also equally nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
And I won't meta chase and like borrow an army that I completely never played before, but I'll borrow like specific units for my armies to like fill out a list or something,
Totally.
to kind of like push the edge. But yeah.
Well, and I don't mind if people borrow armies either. You know what I mean? Like for them, it is really is just a psychographic thing where it's just like, you do you, Chicaboo, you know?
Yeah.
But
also, I feel like we should probably start talking about LVO soon. It's been an hour.
Sure. I don't know. I like your first message more, Dale. The one that says, I'm taking poopy DOK and going to go 5-0. I like the confidence. But is Dale going to LVO? Oh, cool. I actually didn't realize. Ludivika says, regiments continue to be problematic for a lot of factions. They're making progress on that, but it's still a long road. I totally agree. For the most part, like, I don't think anyone's saying that GW isn't doing really well in the rules department. But you have to talk about what you want to change, or otherwise, how would they ever know? Like, you know what I mean? Here's one example. I literally think it was a mistake. I think it was an overlook. And I've said this before. I said it last week, but Master Molder not being able to be a sub commander is ridiculous. He doesn't do anything. He's worse than like almost everything else. He just has like one small, tiny little bit of synergy in Molder. So it's like, why can't I take him? He's not a caster, whatever. Like, I honestly just think that was a mistake. So, I wrote to the AOS team. I wrote them an email, and maybe they took that the wrong way, because I said, I think you guys, like, I literally just was like, I think you guys overlooked this. Like, and I literally told them, other than this one little small thing, like, I think you guys are doing a great job or whatever. I was very positive and complimentary. Anyway, so we do have some stats. We don't know the list, so we were going to go over the lists, and then it turns out that they are kept from us. I don't know when they're going to reveal the contents of said lists, but we do have some stats. So up on the screen right now is LVO 2025. There are 300 lists, and this is how many drops they have. There are 11 out of 300 that have one drop. The vast majority, well, not the vast majority technically, of 300 lists but most of them are 2 drops at 164. And that makes sense to me, because almost all the lists are out tomorrow. Thanks, Dale. Almost every list I make is 2 drops. Like, I have a couple that are 3, and I'm not trying to be competitive usually when they are 3. So I think that's very interesting. Anyway, 84 at 3, 28 at 4, 5 lists at 9 drops, and then 1 at 15, which is, mwah. That person is doing it like they're trying to stand out one way or another, right?
Yeah. One quick thing is 9 lists at 5 drops, not 5 at 9 drops.
Sorry.
I'll kill you.
Misread that.
But.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I deserve that.
I was very surprised to see that it's only 11 at 1 drop.
Yeah, me too.
That's like 1/3% of the tournament is a 1 drop.
Right.
Which feels kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, so I represent 10% of that, actually.
Ooh.
Or a little less. But it's neat to see. It definitely doesn't surprise me that 2 is by and large like the most common, just because most armies don't have a really good way of becoming a 1 drop without making sacrifices that aren't really worth it.
Right. But they can usually be a 2 drop fairly like efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what the spread is when the top 8 happens, and to kind of give people a little bit of like context on how this tournament is going to work. Friday and Saturday are going to be like a regular GT, except I think it's like swapped where you play 3 games. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, you play 3 games day 1, 2 games day 2. And then what happens is you take all of the people that are undefeated out of those 306 people, I think, that are coming this year, and you you try to resolve it into a top 8. And what that usually means is you have a shadow round on Saturday, where if you have people that like are on the cusp of being the top of the 5-0s, you usually have those people, that chunk of people competing to be actually in the top 8. And then what the top 8 does is they play single elimination on Sunday, where there's 3 games and they go down to 4 and then down to 2 and then down to 1 for a final winner on Sunday. So you can actually play 8 games if you get to the top 8, or 9 games if you get shadow round as well. It's kind of crazy. And it'll be interesting to see like what the spread is in the top 8. The first 5 battle plans are all very dense missions, which is really good. Which is really good for Slaves to Darkness. Which is
sure
like,
is.
Yeah. But I wonder if what's going to happen is we'll see like a couple Slaves to Darkness players make it into the top 8 because it was so smooth sailing getting there.
Oh, and they get trashed.
In the 3 battle rounds, I think it's like spread dense spread or something. So all of a sudden they'll be like, "Uh-oh," and then and get murdered. Yeah,
this is so easy. Wait, what? What do you mean?
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Yeah. So originally I thought you were talking about what the spread on armies is going to be for like who's in top 8, but yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's a neat statistic, and I'm interested to see like I would anticipate at least 2 1-drops are going to get into the top 8. So yeah,
I feel like if you're playing Slaves to Darkness, you should be 1-drop, right? So that's why I'm surprised there aren't more 1-drops, just because like, as you'll see in a minute, there are a lot of Slaves to Darkness players. So I don't know if that's what's up next. Yes, it is. Haha. So the number 1 faction is surprised by everyone because no one knows that Stormcast Eternals are popular. It is Stormcast Eternals, though, with 34 people playing it. Number 2 is Slaves to Darkness. So over 10% of the people that are coming are playing Slaves to Darkness, which is interesting.
Yeah. But only 1/3 of the Slaves to Darkness players are 1-drop. Or could be 1-drop, actually.
Wait,
it's probably less than 1/3. Because there's only 11
Oh,
1-drops.
yes. Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah.
And guaranteed there's 1-drops in other armies. So
which is
probably a lot less than 1/3.
That's crazy to me. But
yeah.
I'm sure they have their reasons. Like we can't see the lists anyway, so I'm not pooping on them. Obviously, I don't know enough about Slaves to Darkness to really give a proper assessment, but that was definitely what I thought. But 34 to 32, not a huge difference there, right? Like that's roughly the same. That's like a, margin of error kind of thing. But then from 32 down to the next most popular army, which is Seraphon at 23, that's actually a pretty big drop, like 9, right?
Yeah. Yes, Seraphon is going to be interesting. It's with Croak coming back swinging. It's going to be neat. I actually haven't had a chance to play against him since he got buffed, so I'm kind of afraid of going into that a little bit.
I don't blame you. I think people are going to be a little surprised by how strong he is. Our Lord and Savior, as Eric likes to call him, Mr. Croak. Yeah. But then the next one is... Oh, sorry. Please.
I was going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
Oh, cool. The next most popular army is Skaven. Doesn't really surprise me. They're popular. Same with Flesh Eater Courts. It goes 17, 16, 15 to Soulblight Gravelords, and then, 13, a bunch of 12s. But then where it starts to get kind of interesting again is when you get to the other side. Like everything else is in the middle of the pack. They're all pretty close together. You got Bone Splitters. That surprises no one. It shouldn't surprise anyone, right? Caradron Overlords, I guess it's like their meta. Like they're just not really in a great spot. They're not fun to play maybe. I don't know. But they're never like a super popular army, I think. But I think they should be more popular than this. So I think this is mostly a statement of where they are in the game. Cruel Boys is also similar. I think they're definitely like a pretty popular army. And then you got Fire Slayers, which tend to be less popular. Beasts of Chaos, or they're on their way out the door. Daughters of Cain. So Dale is one of 6 people running Daughters of Cain, which I find very interesting. And then Hedonites, and then I'll go up to, or I guess I shouldn't just stop it at Sons of Behemoth, because Ossiarch Bone Reapers also, oh no, Ossiarch, actually no, this is the craziest thing. So like, first of all, I wanted to touch on the fact that Sons of Behemoth are this popular. Like, I actually didn't think they would even be this popular. I didn't think 8 whole people, but I guess they're just like a fun army that people like to play. Like, they're never going to go below a certain amount, like Skaven, just because they have enough popularity. But the real surprise, I think, for most people is Nighthaunt. Like, only 8 people out of 300. And they're supposed to be a meta army. Now, obviously, they were slapped recently.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing, is that they were smacked pretty hard. But there's actually the same reason why Nighthaunt has less people. The reason why Nighthaunt has less people is actually the same, I think, is why more people have Sons of Behemoth, which is you have to think of, a lot of people don't live in Las Vegas. They're flying to LVO. It's much harder to bring like 80 Blade Geists or 40 Blade Geists.
That's a great point.
In a travel case, right? Like, if you have a horde army, it's much harder to travel with it than it is just like, I got my 4 big dudes. If I don't fit them all in my case, I'll just put one in my personal thing, and they're so big and chunky that they're probably not going to break. I can be pretty rough with them, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Same thing with like Stormcast Eternals and Slaves to Darkness, very low surface area armies. I can easily fit mine in my case. Like, it's not a big deal at all. So it doesn't surprise me that the more elite armies are more popular at like big destination tournaments.
That's a great point. Nighthaunt are extremely fiddly. So are IDK, but interesting. IDK, Sylvaneth. But I think a lot of the people who play Sylvaneth and IDK, they're usually like freaks about their army. Like, they love their army. I mean this in a good way, right? So, yeah, that's interesting. But it probably is mainly still a statement, I feel like, of where the army is. Like, that they got slapped so hard, right? But yeah, I do know that is a main thing. Like, I remember the guy who won LVO for 40K in 9th edition. I forget his name. It's like something Siegler, I want to say. He won with Admech, and he wasn't even going to go because he was just like, ugh, this army's kind of a pain in the ass to travel with, or something like that, because it was a bunch of little guys. And then he ended up going and winning with Admech when they were really bad. But anyway, do you anything else to say on this slide?
Nope.
Let's go. LVO 2025 Universal Manifestations, 300 lists, 72 are still Morbid Conjuration. That surprised me. I don't think they're that good. I know that they're really good. But I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, they're not auto include status anymore.
Right? Yeah.
They're like I think I'd say they're actually balanced now, but I think that it's still, just because there's 4 instead of 3 War Scrolls in it, you just have that much more to choose from, right? And Shackles is always an incredible spell to cast, especially countercast.
That's true. That's a really good point. And I guess even with 2 of them going off on an 8, like, that's my main thing with them. Unless you have at least +1 to cast, like, I'm just not taking them, man. I don't believe in my dice that much, Carson. What can I say? But Shackles, that's a great point. Like, Shackles is just super awesome, like, even on its own, and it's not that hard to cast. So it's probably the best spell in there now, right?
Yeah, and most people aren't casting the what's it called? Maelstrom anymore, because it's like it involuntarily goes off now.
Yeah, totally. So it's kind of like it's 3 now in a way.
In a way, yeah. Right. But you still have 1 extra for like screening. If you're playing against like Beast of Chaos, you put 1 in a corner that you don't want them to be popping up in. So that makes sense.
I've been playing mostly without +1 to cast for a while now. Only having it when I take Thankful, I think. Anyway, so Yeah, I've been playing mostly with Primal, and I still don't have Forbidden Power, but one of the best humans that I've ever met, Mr. Kenrick, picked me up a set of Forbidden Power from Richmond Reroll. Find them out in Richmond. I'm pointing at Richmond, by the way. Yeah. Go to Richmond Reroll. Yeah, so I'm going to get those painted up. And I actually think that I like Forbidden Power right now the best, but I'm not sure.
For Skaven, they're great.
For Skaven in particular, right? So
yeah, having an additional teleport is really, really nice. I mean, Forbidden Power's it's really nice in general.
And it's like, 4 as well.
It's 4 as well, but
yeah.
Bridge is incredible for teleporting, as we know.
Yep.
Shards of Velagar is like secretly incredible for blocking out like deep strikes or other counter teleport techs, that sort of stuff. Horrorghast it's nice to get shooting, right? And especially if you're in a shooting army, you have a very good way of shutting off commands for the rest of the turn on something.
Exactly. That's the main thing. I actually think that was my favorite part.
Yeah, and even Luncheon, or whatever the heck his name is.
Yeah. Luncheon.
He's 10 wounds on a 4-up, 6-up ward. So it's like,
jeez,
you pin something if you want to, right? Like he moves 12 inches and then he just corner tags a unit and he just pins them. Like I've done that with like Chaos Knights, where I just like barely tag the unit and only like 3 of them can pile in and fight him. And it's like, congratulations, you have to retreat to get away from him. Ha ha ha! You're definitely not killing him. Like off the charge.
Wow.
It's really It's nice to be able to just have something like that. I don't usually cast them, but having that tool is great. So
right. That's a good point. Are you retreating away from an endless spell, even a predatory one? You're right. Okay.
Yep.
Because it moves, so it's treated as a unit
for the purposes of being in combat.
Right. I swear to God, like just the way that they launched the edition, I'm still like, I'm never confident whenever I'm dealing with manifestations anymore. It's really sad. Anyway, but Primal Energy, like I really like Primal Energy. I was playing with them last week. So yeah.
Yeah, Primal Energy is very solid.
Kenrick's here with us now. I'm sorry, I missed a bunch of chat stuff. Sorry you're late. It's good to have you anytime you're here. Gets us only 10 people. Yes, they were. The same amount of 2023. Aren't Suns players just there to be social? I mean, you can make that argument. They spend so little time moving their armies, right? I'm not using any of those. I'm in danger. I was wondering where the column was for the army specific manifestations. Yep, it's there. Sorry, guys. Evening Major. Yep. Lord Kenrick is a fine man indeed. He really is. I don't remember what you're talking about. And Kenrick being the best guy ever. Yep. Which one are the Twilight Sorceries?
That is the Spell Portal, the Palisades.
Oh,
Geminids.
Right.
I think that's it. Geminid, Spell Portal, Palisade.
Right.
Yeah.
And because Ether Rot has cogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, Spell Portal's kind of cool. If you have a really good way of getting pluses to cast, then you can whip something through the portal, which is kind of nice. Palisade can be good, but could also screw yourself over a little bit. And then, what's it called? Geminids is very good. Obviously, it's shutting off commands when you're in combat with them. And then one thing that a lot of people forget is that both Geminids get the same amount of attacks. It's not like X amount of attacks for the Geminids.
Right.
So it's twice as many as they think, and they actually can slap fairly hard. So
nice.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good point. No. Oh, right. I did know about that. Okay. I still need to get my own. Okay. I guess should we move on to the final slide? I don't remember what it is. 2025 points. Okay, this is definitely the least interesting to me. I mean, it is interesting in just like a greater sense, but you no longer get anything from it unless you're at 1950. So like really the only things that matter arguably Oh man, someone's at 1840. That feels like a mistake. Or just like, I don't know.
It's just there to have a good time. Just
that's a good point. Yeah.
or it's his favorite year. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. But I guess the one interesting thing, other than like the amount of people that were able to make a list probably by happenstance, because I don't think anyone cares enough to like really aim for it. So 103 people, so a little over a third of the people are exactly at 2,000. And then I think the next most interesting stat is actually the 1950. And what's interesting is that like it goes steadily down almost the whole way until you get to 1960, and then it goes back up again to 1950. So I guess there are enough people who are aiming for that spot. But for me, I'm not going to change my list like out of what I think is optimal to get to there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's like sometimes you have two choices which are relatively equal, or they're like good for different reasons, but one of them just so happens to get you to 1950. And I think that's enough of a statistical insignificance that someone would exactly be at 1950.
And that totally makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think and hope that that's what that is. What could 1840 be? It's probably like they probably forgot like a unit that's like 150, 160 points, right? But we don't know. We don't know what army it is, right? I don't think we know that information.
I'm not sure.
So if it's 1840, oh Keith, thanks for being a member. Here, YouTube, I did my free member milestone chat. Leave me alone. Awesome. Thanks for being a member for 4 months. We really appreciate it, Keith. In addition to your generosity, yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking like if it's like probably like a unit of clan rats, or like, you know, maybe a thing of eels or something like that, or yeah, just something along those lines, right? I don't know. Like, I can't imagine doing that. Right?
Yeah, I don't know what army wouldn't have access to a 160 point unit of some kind.
Or
even just like a hero? Like
maybe.
Yeah.
What if it's Flesh Eater Courts? And they had exactly their 2,000 point list, and then they got so many buffs that are just like, oh crap! Now I don't own anything else, and I can't paint it in time. So I guess I'm going to be that guy, right?
That's true.
What if it's also...
That's my headcanon now.
That's kind of what I want it to be. What if it's also the person who is 15 drops? Are we just like, okay, man, we get it. You wanted us to know who you are, not us specifically, but like the community in general. So now we do. Like, I don't know. I kind of like that. Gravetide profile is kind of wild. Yeah, it's really good. Is playing dwarfs? Yeah, maybe. Was on purpose. Oh. So Ledivicus was told earlier today that 1840 was on purpose. But I can't tell you what is in it. We'll see tomorrow. We will. Right?
You want to know something?
What's that?
1, 8, 4, and 0 adds up to 13.
Skaven?
Could be Skaven.
That's a good point.
Could be Skaven. Yeah.
Do you believe in numerology?
Sure.
Sure. I mean, if it is Skaven, I feel like we'll have no choice, right?
Yeah. The Alpha Skaven.
That was my question. So Kenrick asks, do you give up an extra CP for each auxiliary regiment? And you don't.
No,
you just...
it's just your opponent has more auxiliaries than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was like when I... Because like that's not the first time or even close that I've seen these meme lists with 1 million drops. So, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. Someone shows up with like 10 auxiliaries and You're just like, okay, I guess I'll play with 14 CP this game.
Yeah.
And every time your opponent is just like, do you want to do something? You're like, yeah.
Yeah,
Why not?
I sure do. Yeah. I just don't know where I want to do it. Like that's the only real decision. Like redeploy, yeah. Like I rolled a 6, but I'm just not going to move them. But that can get you into trouble. And you're like, damn it, I wanted to shoot with them. Why did I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be trying to do like countercast 3d6 charge, counter charge constantly. I feel like it's like,
right?
Don't get within 18 of me. Don't do it.
Yeah, man. Like honestly, even if you just were giving them like 1 CP per turn, and I had crit talk, I would just be like, oh god, this is going to be such an amazing game. I don't even care if I lose. I'm doing 3 claw steps ahead with 2 units every single time. It's just going to be, yeah. Ooh. 1930 is the superior choice then. That's true. That's true. I mean, it's also not true that it doesn't add up to 13. So it's still a little sus. But yeah. The perfect number would be 1,300. That'd be the ballsy move. It would be so fun. I kind of feel like maybe we should even have... sorry, I forgot that I've... Oh.
That's really... Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I said... I was just going to say, like, we don't have access to the lists, but we can at least look at my list because I wanted Rob to read my list name live.
Oh, right.
But we can do that later. That's okay.
Well, and Pat also wanted me to read his list name.
Actually, yeah. If anyone has a list name that they want us to judge,
yeah,
they're in the chat. Please let us know.
But Pat didn't send it to me. I'm going to message him on Discord right now.
Okay.
Because I asked him to remind me today. Because I'm not going to keep that stuff in my head. I had way too much to do. Oh man, I don't. Oh, there he is. Okay, I'm going to ask him right now, just so we have a better chance of getting it to it by the end of the show. Pat, what was your list name? Can't see the lists. Okay, so. Okay, I'm going to take these stats off the screen because it's very bright. There we go. Oh, yeah. Pat has a great name of his list. He said, like, you asked me, and what's funny is Pat asked me too, like, do you want to know the list name? And I was like, no, I want to react to it organically. Kenrick, are you still rocking the Fart Vast Nocturnals, or do you have a new name? Because like he's got the sticker now, so it's like there's never been a better reason to stick with the same name than you got stickers made up.
Dale's. I like that. Dale's name is the Crone Loyalist Institution for Terrorizing Organizations, Reinforcing Independence, and Stabbings. And then he says, some people struggle to find it.
Does that spell anything out?
Sure does.
One second.
I know Rob's having a little trouble finding it, but yeah. What does it spell, Rob? What does it spell? Come on. Don't count the T. Don't count the T. Don't count like the for, or the and.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? C L.
Yeah. Okay. Here, let's do this. Wait. Is this safe to spell out? No. Okay.
It's anatomy. You know, it's not.
Okay.
P
C L I. Right. One second. Oh my God. I was adding the F anyway. I was like, Cliff? Like, what could that even be?
Oh, Rob.
I was adding the F.
You never do. You always get rid of like the 4.
It depends. You don't always do or always don't. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Whatever.
Sometimes you add the T too. You add the, man. That is a crazy name. That is a crazy, crazy name.
I like it. I also like how...
I mean, I like it. I don't necessarily am super about the name. Anyway. Rob. That's me. Oh, people do struggle to find it. I got it. That was good. That comment. Oh man, that comment is actually better than the name, if I'm being honest. Yeah. He's so pure. That's what I want you to think. Nope, just a little slow on the uptake today. I'm sorry. I kept adding the F. You hope it gets on GW? What do you mean get on GW?
I don't know. They might post your list. I don't know.
Oh, I see. You may be on Goonhammer.
I don't think they... Oh, yeah. Like Goonhammer or other things like that, for sure. But
Ladivis's comment, too.
You have hair growing out of your... That doesn't seem right.
Well, he's saying shave the overall
all right
thing down so it's easier, right? So it's easier to get to.
All right. All right.
Whoa.
You want to take a look at my list name?
Oh, did you send it?
Yeah, I sent
is that
my
what you
list.
sent? Oh, okay. I just saw like best coast pairings.
If you're you might have to log in as me to see it.
That's weird. It's still not popping up even though I am logged in. Where... Okay, let's try this again. Boop. Shimone. Access denied. Organizer has lists as hidden.
And you're logged in
as
me?
Yeah.
Can you go to the tournament and you can look at the player tab and...
Okay.
I linked it to you.
Which one did you link to me?
I linked you just the link to the tournament, but then you can go to player details if you're logged in as me and then go view list.
It's all blank for some reason. Okay, I will try this new link. Oh, there we go. That worked. And then, sorry, I go to roster.
Oh, you go to player details.
Oh. Where are player details?
Are you positive you're logged in as me?
Yep. It says, oh, no, now I'm not. That was weird. That's so weird. I was in the other one. I mean, I would show you, but I don't think you want me to. Player details. There it is. The other one was totally black. Okay. Player status, faction slave to darkness, list information submitted, and now I can view list, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't want me to show the list, right? So I'll just...
You can show the list. That's totally
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. On the website, just to be super clear before I actually show it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the list name is incredibly loud farting noises amplified by metallic ass plate. Oh, man. I have one question for you, Mr. Carson. I have one question for you. Do you know what the MOAR farty is?
No, no.
The question is, do I explain it? Like, honestly, because it feels like you know what that is. So the MOAR farty was created by one of the old like editors from IGN on their podcast. And what you do is, you know, you're like in a normal shower with like, what's it called? Fiberglass. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? In the chat? You know what, like if you have fiberglass or whatever, you don't need fiberglass, like one of those insulation things in your shower, right? But it helps, right? So it's when you feel a fart coming on, right? And you kind of lather up your butt with soap and you press it against the fiberglass like wall of it, and it reverberates, and your entire household, like, and if you're in an apartment like maybe 2 doors over, well, everyone will hear your fart. It's insane. It's actually incredible. I highly suggest everyone tries it tonight. Yeah.
I will.
Excellent. If you do, you need to let me know. Like, I have told several people about this, and everyone that's tried it has had success, and it's been something. So, nocturnal fart vas, the rivals. Yeah, that works too. Okay. I think Pat messaged me back. Oh no, he did not. Dale messaged me. Oh, you said, okay, Dale, are you okay with me showing your list on stream? Live stream it? Okay, one second. Let me make sure there's nothing crazy. Okay. I will do that. Bam. So we've got the Crone Loyalist Institution for terrorizing organizations, reinforcing independence and stabbings. Also known as the Crone Loyalist Institution. Daughters of Cain, we've got 3 drops. That would be amazing, Keith. We got Stabatha, Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. Loves it. Canine Stalker, Sisters of Slaughter. Crethusa, the Crone Seer. Is that her real name? Is that the one with the wings?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, crazy. Yeah. Because Stabatha is obviously his, changed name.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Elphaba is also a real name or not. I used to play against them.
Also, I'm just laughing with
Matthew? That's a God comment. Yeah. Oh, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. You're also a 3-drop and 2,000 points on the nose.
Yep. There's an argument for being a 3-drop, I think, because now you get the extra honor guard, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. They've made it very compelling now. Like, I've made a couple of lists that are like aiming for it, in 3 or 4. Like, and I mean, like, not all of them are good, but like they're just made it interesting. You know what I mean? Like I've got one that I took like a Hell Pit or I think another one that I took a Brood Terror just to give the prized creations +1 to hit, because them hitting on 4s is kind of the problem, So -1 to hit, and they're hitting on 5s, and it's just kind of a joke. So, yeah. Age of Canucks, welcome. Good evening. 101 times 2, or I see, times 2 plus 3 plus, Rend 3, damage 2, crit auto wound, attack twice. That's a lot. That is a lot. Is that the Sisters of Slaughter? because that's a lot. Evening. Enjoy your night. Hope it's a good one. We're not leaving yet. I'm just saying goodbye to some people. Yeah. And if anyone else wants their list judged thoroughly, okay, I got another message. Or not thoroughly, but somewhat judged. Okay, darn it. I cannot. Oh, there we go. Why is this not? It is not. There we go. Okay. Pat did not see it, which is unfortunate. I just did this with Witch Elves this evening and took out Be'lakor in one turn. Wow. Pretty good.
Yeah, Be'lakor hates mass volume damage 1 or 2 attacks.
Ethereal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 4-up. It's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Daughters of Cain is definitely an army where it's like, if they get their Mind Razor off and if they get what they wanted to you, it's like,
right.
You will die. Like, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
I think that Daughters of Cain are definitely an army that you talked about earlier in that, like, people don't want to travel with them because they're very, very delicate. You know what I mean? But like they've been very strong at different times and still not that popular. And the models are clearly awesome. So I feel like that probably is one of the things that you were talking about, you know?
Yeah, I feel like in some ways they have been brought down a bit in that one of the big strengths that they had was Daughters of Cain had zero reason to engage with you, right? In third edition. Because their tactics were so good that they were just like, I don't have to go anywhere near you.
I'll just chill
you have
and
to
win.
Come here.
Right.
Yeah. Versus now, like, we're all kind of on the same path of like, we're on the same, like, same level, I guess, of just like, we pretty much have the same tactics except for the order tactics.
Right.
And most of them involve having to get closer to your opponent and kind of dictating the fight order. And because they're so paper thin, it's a little tough to like properly trade with them well. But if you do trade with them well, like, it's, again, like I said, devastating. If you get Mind Razor off and you manage to charge in and double fight with something, it's pretty gross for sure.
I feel like, and I could be wrong, because there's obviously people out there that love them truly, and Dale is certainly one of them. They were his first army. And he's got like his own like sub lore, which is really cool and everything. But I think when they first came out in particular, they kind of had the Ossiarch Bone Reaper problem because they were so powerful for so long that a lot of the people that were playing them were the people that were like initially meta chasing, and then they just stayed good for so long. You know what I mean? And then like when they weren't great, like a lot of those people kind of fall off. And so then the people that stick with them are like the true fans, but they're, you know, for some reason there don't seem to be quite as many of them. But I don't get that, because like the snake chicks with the bows and the spears, those models are sick, like really sick. Morathi is an incredible model. And I get like not wanting to paint a bunch of, you know, like half naked, you know, models like Fire Slayers, or like I've done it with Thralls, and that's, you know what I mean? And I like it because I actually genuinely like the models. Obviously the eels and other things like that are cooler, but yeah, like if your passion's there, you can do it. But I get why they would be less popular, you know, to take and play and paint and stuff like that. But yeah, only for real fans.
That's right. Like Dale.
Yep. Like Kale. Oh, you said Dale? No, he's not a oh, right, we're live. I shouldn't be saying this. Yeah. It's kind of awkward. Paper thin is giving them too much credit. I'd say plastic film thin. Like saran wrap thin. They are also my first army from 3rd edition. Awesome. Age of Canucks. That's cool. It's so nice to see when people just like have a one true love. You know what I mean? Like for you, it's Ogres. Obviously for me, it's Skaven. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. For Ludovicus, it's Gits. Ludivka says, Daughters of Cain is an elf army that GW doesn't treat kindly like the other elves. That's interesting. I felt like they were treated too kindly originally. But I guess it kind of depends. They're traditionally an expensive army. A lot of people don't know that. Like back in the day, they were one of the more expensive armies to get into. I don't know about now, though. Yeah. It had the meta issue, and then it has the 50% of the army being Warhammer models that cost over $60. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. It's funny you should say that. That was always a thing. But like the snakes are, I don't know. Yeah. Roman calls them my sexy goblins, as they are a horde army at the moment. Yeah, fair. They were when they originally came out, too. It was just like all witches. Like 90 witches in every list. It's brutal. Like I have more models in my Daughters of Cain list than my Gits list. That's crazy. Or I guess it's not that crazy when you think about like trolls are probably in there taking up some of your spots. But goblins obviously very much a traditional horde army, right? But until they get like new goblin models on foot, I don't really want to play Gits like that. Like I want to play like squigs and weird stuff when I play goblins, riding wolves.
The night goblins are a little dated, for sure.
They are, yeah. Like I think maybe Ladivius can tell us, but I want to say like 7th edition. I'm almost positive they're not 8th edition even for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So Zach from Hobby Collab YouTube channel also loves his Daughters of Cain. Like they have their and I know Vince Venturella and I think Tom Lyons from Warhammer Weekly both love them. Like they've got like everything, like they have their audience for sure. And that's what's so awesome about Age of Sigmar is that like they're so varied and whatnot. Age of Canuck, need a new faction that isn't Marathi, or give the Crone Seer a 2-cast wizard with a buff without the cauldron. I'm sure Dale's going to agree with that. He's always been a anti-Marathi person. Visibly Riley says they're 7th. That's what I thought. Yeah, they're old. Yeah. Excited to convert the army, building a Thunderdome and everything. Are you talking about for your goblins? Because, yeah, that sounds awesome. But honestly, like Daughters of Cain also kind of like suit that aesthetic, like a Thunderdome. Like they seem like Mad Max kind of style to me anyway. I don't know. That sounds freaking awesome though, Dale. I can't wait to see it. It's going to like be made out of like wicker. You know what I mean? Wasn't the Thunderdome like wicker? I haven't seen that movie in so long, but
I will check.
I feel like it was. Yeah. No?
Was it? I'd find a good picture of it.
I haven't seen that movie
I think it's just made of like metal, like steel.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool. Okay.
Because there's tons of people like on it, and I feel like a wicker structure wouldn't be able to support like what looks like dozens of people just standing on it.
Wicker's pretty amazing. Okay, let me just tell you about wicker. Okay, I don't know much about wicker, so I'm going to leave that to everyone else. But it's metal in the film. Dale knows. Mad Max Daughters of Cain would be sick, right? Totally, they totally do. You thought Thunderdome was metal? It looks like you're right. I don't remember. I haven't seen that movie in more than 25 years, probably like 30 years. Desert Goblins definitely make wicker furniture. Well, that's it. That's kind of why. So I think Dale's should be wicker, right? Or maybe if it's already made, then it should be whatever you made it as, Dale. Okay. But if you haven't made it, you should make it out of wicker because all the goblin stuff is wicker, right? They own a furniture store or something. It sounded like you were going to speak.
No. I don't speak.
That's true. Okay. He doesn't speak. Yeah. I debated the idea of replacing the wolves on the chariots with a trike. Woo. But then the other wolves don't make much sense. This is true. Also, it would kind of be a bit of a shame because those wolves are like the coolest. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a hiccup. The coolest wolves they've ever made. Like, Space Wolves wish they had that cool of wolves. And what's sad is I heard they're going to nix the wolves from Space Wolves in the new, when they get like a model refresh. I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. Like, obviously no one knows except for the people who designed them. But I heard that they're going to get rid of Thunderwolf cavalry and it's going to be like all, you know, whatever, like foot guys and stuff.
That sucks.
Like, that would suck, right?
Yeah, he's like, what makes this army unique? You're like, no, let's have them be more like Space Marines. And you're like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love Thunderwolf. I mean, I'm a big dog wolf lover. So like that would, like, I'm already in there, but like, man, that would suck if they did that. And I mean, I hope they kind of lean into like the space Viking thing a bit more, you know, like berserker dudes with like double axes and that kind of thing. But man, I love me some, I actually have like a converted Wolf Lord, you know, that I really love. Anyway, whatever. Whatever. I don't play 40k anymore. Who cares? But what if they get to design Space Marines riding Space Marines again? Keep talking, Riley. Keep talking. Like, is it piggyback? Are they riding them like you know, like ride your parents around? Like, you know what I mean? When they're like...
Do you do that a lot?
No. My mom's pretty old, man.
Standing on the shoulders?
Yeah. No, I feel like the Space Marine chapters are losing their unique chapter aesthetics. Yeah, it seems like it. But I hear that, like, ever since Space Marine 2, my God, apparently their sales are up. Like, apparently it's even crazier than it was before, which doesn't really surprise me. That game was awesome. Just like Nobblar's Primaris mounts. I like it. Keep talking. I didn't tell you to stop. They did Sanguinary Guard. So dirty, this new BA. Yeah, they really did. It's like they did like a nod to the Sanguinary Guard or whatever when they did like the best models of the year, and everyone's going like, no, man, no. Like, they were just kind of bad. And if you like them, I'm super happy for you. But like, outside looking in, not speaking as a Blood Angels fan, obviously, I thought they were not great. And it seemed like most people agreed. But you know, what are you gonna do? Like the Black Templars, the what are the green ones called? What are they called again?
Green ones are salamanders, aren't they? Or Dark Angels, you mean?
Dark Angels, thank you. Yeah, I meant the dark green. Yes, exactly. Yeah. They were like pretty cool. Like they had like a decent amount of, but like not anything more than they ever had. But if they take away Thunderwolf cavalry, I'll be very sad. Because like other than Wolfen, I think everything, and obviously the stuff that like, you know, Ragnar or whatever that just got like a new sculpt. I don't think they're going to redo Logan either. They might. I don't know. What do I care? Fart Vast Marines. The next chapter. Oh man, dude, Kenrick, you need to rebuy Space Marines just so you can do the Fart Vast Marines. And I suggest that we all vote on the color of your custom faction. And my vote is a nice sienna brown. I don't think I've ever seen a brown Space Marine faction.
There's not like one of the main chapters. None of them are brown, I think.
I'm sure that they exist because there's like 50 million chapters, right?
Yeah. I feel like most people don't buy models and be like, I'm going to paint this a nice brown.
Yeah, you know, right?
Except how. But even that's like tan. Or
Yeah. It's more like tan, like I always think of them as white, but it's probably like more of a like an
I do
ivory
white too,
color.
but yeah, there's
right?
there's that like tin
Oh yeah,
and brown.
you're right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, like tidy white armor with a big brown spot. Oh God, why do I read those anymore? Carson, the pin you gave me bent, and it will not come off my bag no matter what. Now, is this like a private joke?
No, it's not. I was making pins with my niece, and one of the pins, because she had like this little like pin making machine where you just draw on a piece of paper and like stamp it, and then it.
Cool.
Yeah, but she made one that just says "fart enjoyer" on it.
Clearly someone of superior taste. Yeah.
Yes. My partner corrected me. I made the fart enjoyer pin.
I knew that was the case, but I was just like, I'm just gonna roll with it. It's yes and here.
Yeah.
Right.
We made a bunch of pins together, and she's like, "You should give these to your friends." I was like, "Sounds good." And I gave Kenrick the fart enjoyer one, and he's had that on his case ever since. And so he got me a very nice, like naked, we'll say large portly man, to put on my case. And I'm
full
trying to think of a way
frontal, full Monty.
No, it's like he's doing like the Burt Reynolds,
like to the side, right? Yeah. Cool.
So I'm trying to think of how to one up him without without it getting too bad.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like a giant stinky thing of poo or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask me about my opinion on flat Earth or something like that. Like just something, go a little different direction, maybe.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
TSA is gonna be like, "What the F is wrong with you tomorrow?"
Yep.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure everyone who works in TSA is a dirty person anyway. I should know. I actually know someone very high up at TSA, and I'm not lying. I actually, there's a guy I worked with in Japan. He's the guy who like trains them. He trains TSA in like martial arts and that kind of thing, like self-defense and whatnot. So
they don't seem like they know martial arts, if I'm being honest.
Well, there you go. You know,
because every time I've judo chopped one, it's gone really well for me.
Yeah. Well, not everyone is like a good. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can teach it, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. Like my wife, incredible at learning languages. The worst teacher of languages I have ever met. It's actually like some kind of art form. So, yeah. I like what I like. It's true. Flat Earth is a good angle. TSA loves to talk mini hobbies in my experience. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that they like it happens a lot. And I hear border guards too. They'll talk about it.
Yeah. It's like, I would say 50-50, honestly. It's that common.
Wow.
Like Kenrick and I cross the border a lot to go down to Seattle. And there'll be some times where they're like, "What army do you guys play?" And then, I remember before they were like, "Age of Sigmar or 40K?" Like, and it's like, damn. They know their stuff. Crazy. Yeah. Thank you, Kenrick.
Very nice.
Very kind. Yeah,
we did miss 2 Tuesdays in a row, though, in December.
That's great. Not the best time to congratulate. Sounds a little sarcastic, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think I told the story about when I was going to, I think it was to WCW, where like I was like the +1 for Matthias's Nexus. And then, because apparently you can get a +1 and go through like the fast way, which ended up being like way slower because the guard was like looking through my bag and he was like nerding out about Warhammer. He's like, "Oh yeah, I play Space Marines, but all my friends got taken out to Chaos. There's Nurgle, Slanesh."
He starts naming them.
Corn, and Ketch. And I was like,
yes, you did tell this, right?
Yeah. And then that cursed
and
me
you're,
because
That's why you
played-
judo chopped him.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't have time for this.
Oh, I thought you meant like catch, bam. Yeah.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah. It's Titsnitch, idiot. WCW is the World Championships of Warhammer, Age of Canucks. It happens in November. This will be, so it's happened 3 years now? 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. That's crazy. No, 3.
It depends on if you count the like proto WCW.
Yeah, the one that Matthias
Games
went
Workshop,
to.
Yeah, Games Workshop likes to pretend that didn't exist. So
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
so they will always say.
But there was
it's
even like a proto thing before that though, where they were like doing like a whatever, but like they actually call. I don't know if they called it WCW before that, but they definitely called it WCW when Matthias got second, and then so it's like I don't know. They need to figure it out. You tell us, GW, because like GW also doesn't refer to editions for the most part. They just say new Age of Sigmar, right? But if you find an old ass article from back in the day, and you like if you Google search new Age of Sigmar or new 40K, it's gonna come up with previous editions sometimes. So I think they should just, unplug from the matrix and start calling them what they are. They're editions of Warhammer. They're whole new sets of rules. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
I said what I said. What army do you play? Me. I play the Crimson G. Whoa. Fists. That moment when you accidentally befriend a world championship wrestling fan and realize you are both massive nerds. Oh, I see. I didn't even know. I still refer to it as the WWF, as it was called when I was a child and last watched it, with Jake the Snake and Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, $1 Million Man, Yokozuna, the Bash Brothers. I could go on, but I won't. Ravishing Rick Rude. Sorry.
Oh. You scared me. Whoa.
Yeah.
Is it safe to talk? Are you going to say? But Randy Savage. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't say, yep, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That was the last time I never watched any WWE. Yeah, WWE. But like I know of wrestlers from that era just from being in the fighting game community. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of crossover between the fighting game community and wrestling for some reason. So we don't talk about Hulk Hogan anymore. What about the Hulk? Do we talk about him anymore? Right? Think about it.
From
Marvel.
Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far do we take this whole thing? Right?
I'd imagine. Yeah, I don't know.
Do we stop talking about hoagies? Is it okay to talk about hoagies? Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, You cannot mention WWF without mentioning like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Right?
Yeah.
Did you know, this is a true story, in Street Fighter 3, right? The main character is not Ryu and Ken and or Chun-Li. It's actually, wait, why am I blanking on his name? Hugo is, and that's crazy. I can't remember his name, but basically they're supposed to be Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And if you play, like they had custom intros. So if you play Ryu versus Ken, they do like a fist bump, like from like the old thing back in the day. But if you play Hugo versus, for some reason, I can't remember his name. He was in Street Fighter 5 as well. But anyway, if you play those two, they do like the Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant stare down. Like the level of love in those old games, man. It's so awesome. And yes, I filled out your bingo cards. You're welcome. It's not Guile. Guile wasn't in Street Fighter 3. They had Remy, who was like the change out. I can't remember his name. Like, I know his name. It's so crazy. Oh,
You're the one that knows the most about these games out of all of us, especially between the two of us.
it's like one of those things. Like I obviously know his name. I know his like in Street Fighter V, his V skill was like charging up his moves, so like they all cause like a crumple state, but I can't remember his name. Oh, that's gonna bother me so much. Okay, I'm gonna Google it live. Main character for Street Fighter. Oh my goodness, 3 E's. 3. Alex. I knew it was an A, but once I thought of that. Anyway, thank you. Riley got it because you're in the past, so that works both ways. It was Alex. Did you get that, Riley? Did you get that from my description of his V skill from Street Fighter V? Now I need to know. Yeah, he was added. He was the main character. He replaced Ryu as the main character. But I actually loved Hugo, though. Hugo is so cool. Slap. Yeah, nothing but net, Riley. Nothing but net. That was nice. Farting on the Princess Bride. Yeah. Man, that movie's so good. I just watched that not long ago, and it holds up so well. Yeah. Nice quote, Dale. I like it. For you, the day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. Yeah. Good stuff. Alex, yeah, main character. He wasn't great in Street Fighter 3. And he wasn't great in Street Fighter 5 either. Sucks to suck.
That's my thing. I see that.
That's true. But I've stolen it and I've claimed it for my own.
I guess it does suck to suck.
It does. Yep. You should have known, Carson. You should have known.
No.
Yep. It's good enough, and it's good stuff. Okay, I'm going to do one final check for Pat. Nope. He didn't see my message. Damn it, Pat. I'm going to message him again because it says he's available. Pat? I'm going to do the snake. Pat. I always forget Ming Na Wen. Yep. I mean, it's always there. You just got to be really careful with what you share with Carson, or he'll hit you with one of those. Every time I open my mouth when we're having a conversation, especially in private, I have to think, is he gonna didn't ask me about this? Like you were kind enough to drive me home from your weekly prostitute and or drug pickup area, and I said it's actually quicker if you go this way or whatever. And what did you say to me? I thought you were gonna say didn't ask. I was like, he's got me. And then you said I don't care. That's what you said, right?
More brutal.
Honestly, I felt kind of bad. I was just like, does he want to know this information? I wasn't sure if you were taking me back to your place by mistake. You know what I mean? Because I'll do that. You know what I mean? Like I drive my mom to like doctor's appointments so much. I take my son to certain activities so much that sometimes I'll just go on automatic and I'll go a certain way. So, yeah.
No, it slipped my mind. But I think sometimes it makes me seem like such a horrible person. Like, I don't care. Shut up.
It's almost like saying F you to someone when you roll boxcars and beat their 11,
Yeah, it's fun. You.
Yeah. I love it. I actually love it. But I can only love it, though, as someone who knows you well enough, probably, to know that you're not being serious.
I know that I have, like, I like, a lot of the good players across North America, I have a good reputation as, like, being a pleasant play experience. but I would love to rock up to a game who's never played me that has heard that. It's like, this guy just like flipped me the bird after he box card charged me. Like,
you'd be like a legend, like that World Eaters player that rocked up to the table and was doing like shadow boxing and push-ups in between. Yeah. Although only people would probably know your name, and no one knows who that guy is, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Someone's like, all right, I'm going to do take the flanks. Like, I don't care. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
You just keep saying it.
Yeah.
I don't care. What part of I don't care don't you understand?
Roll your dice. Don't tell me what it's for.
Yeah.
I don't care.
But I have to declare, I don't care. Make it up.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Oh, man. Thanks for joining us, Kenrick. Always enjoyed having you. I'm always here for hijinks and shenanigans. Well, I'm glad, because that is really all we got. As Carson zips in and out of the meat dimension live. You know. I'm surprised. Whoa. Are you also here for sexual tension, Latificus? Whoa. How is he doing this? I almost heard something. Can you not hear like what? It's like all we are hearing is like a like you're rubbing the mic. It's even more ridiculous when you make faces, like we can hear what's going on. This is what it looks like. Not hearing anything. Oh, man.
Yeah. What happens when he combines the two and whips out the don't care, didn't ask? I don't know. I don't want to find out.
I do. See, that's just good. Well, actually, nothing really happened. It's just making your head look flat. Yeah.
There's nothing there.
That's true. What sorcery is this? Ah!
I just manifest a can of spam into existence on top of my...
Oh, is it the can of spam? I didn't know what it was. It looked like some kind of crystal or Rubik's Cube. There we go. Now I saw it. Use it for spackle.
I'm running out of content here, guys.
It's true. We are running out of content. As such, I think that's Carson's not so subtle way of telling me to hypnotize. I want to buy you spam. What just happened?
I don't know. It seemed like you blacked out for a second there.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think we have officially run out of content. Good luck to Carson at LVO. Or sorry, bad luck to Carson.
Oh yeah.
If people don't understand the stream,
wish me good luck. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna be the worst person in every game I play.
So
you say whatever you want about me, I don't care.
He doesn't care, everyone.
I don't care. And I didn't ask.
Never. Yep.
Yeah.
He didn't. Yep. Just give him a coupon for his local crack lady of the night.
Yep.
And be on your way.
That's right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks everyone for watching. Good luck to everyone going to LVO. I hope you guys have a blast. Be careful out there. And I don't know if we're doing a reveal show on Friday. It's pretty late. And I have a bunch of commitments on Friday. And I don't have anyone to do it with. Because Carson and replacement Carson are both going to be down at LVO. So I'm not sure if it's going to be anything to write home about either. But like, if I can do it, I will do it. So, you know, I'll try and remember to set up the stream ahead of time. So if you guys do want to hang out for that, you know, it might be happening. I'll try and tweet when I know what's going on. But yep, thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.